Now we're ready for the budget part of the meeting. And we've got the operating amendments first. And we are going to be meeting next week. So one of our choices of action tonight is to delay certain ones, if we choose to, till next week. And speaking of next week, Monday or Wednesday, Dorothy, I forgot what the preferred night is. All in favor of Monday next week? Raise your hand.
Don't care.
I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't remember what mine was.
Okay, well, I'll check back with Dorothy and figure out. One of them is better than the other.
Legistar has posted Monday at this point for CP&J.
Oh, have they posted it already for Monday? Okay, well, we'll have to try and keep it on Monday then, because I don't like to miss it. Okay.
Believe it that it's posted there. Looks like he decided.
Okay, so the first amendment we have is PPNJ operating number one.
Where are the sign-ins for speaking?
I have them right here.
Why are they waiting? There's like 100 people coming up right now.
Okay.
Well, then I'll come over here and they can still put them over here.
Okay. Do you think they all want to talk about the jail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Manage that.
So Marcia, why don't you, I pulled them out, they're here. If you could help get the
That's not
100 people. If you could help
I might
them.
be exaggerating.
I don't think that's
I wonder
happening.
how many to your other
Probably
meeting.
more like 20.
However many want to testify, they each have
I
3
have over
minutes
100
and we will hear from all of them.
Prepared.
Will there be a rule about talking on the same more than once?
Well, I think these are all new people. So they
Yes.
didn't,
have the budget
I'm not sure. Which one is the jail? See what?
so they didn't come, they didn't come last week when I thought they were all going to come last week.
Next year
One
or next-
was introduced last week. No, nobody spoke about it. Yes, one guy did who brought it. But
Okay.
doesn't matter.
I'm also talking about for next week.
Yes, if you talk this week, you cannot talk next week. That is correct.
Okay.
Well, if there's 2 different budget
want to
amendments
remove it?
about the same thing, okay, yeah.
To remove it?
It's on the topic area, so I'll take that under consideration. Yeah, Heidi?
I'm sorry, but I just wanted to clarify, so you indicated that there would be a different amendment next week, so if you spoke on anything related to the jail tonight, you cannot speak on anything related to the jail next week, even if it's a different amendment?
I will check the rule, but I think it's one shot. I see what you're saying though. If it's a different amendment,
I think it's per amendment.
the per amendment. Okay. We'll have to clarify that for next week, but anybody who's here tonight that fills out the slip, we're going to hear from tonight. I thought it was the topic, but I see. Okay. All right. Let's deal with PPNJ 1, which is adding narrative to the operating budget, outlining the $100,000 for a comprehensive review of the existing mental health services in Dane County. Just for background, the county executive added the money for the study, which is fantastic, but there's no language in the budget about the study. So this clarifies that it is in response to regarding adequate and appropriate services to address the needs of those struggling with issues of mental illness, lack of services identified. The goal is to review current mental health services system provided by both public and private funders and identify the needs, gaps, and possible solutions, including the feasibility of the mental health crisis restoration facility. So that's PPNJ number 1. Does somebody want to move it?
And is there a phrase that gets cut off from the bottom? It ends with a the.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
There's a delete.
And I think I sent an email.
Rural examination of the. Is it just one word, do you know?
Overall system?
I'll write it in time.
It's your proposal,
What
so
did
you
you
can
say?
say whatever you want. It's your proposal.
Well, when I submitted it, it was it was complete. I don't know what happened.
Okay, you're talking about moving some to next week. Do you just want to move this to next week and get it completed? I mean, it's not going to be controversial, but why don't we have it correct?
Okay, that's fine with me.
I'd put a motion, you need a motion
Okay,
to do
yeah,
that?
let's make a motion. It's moved and seconded that we move PP&J operating 01 till next week to get the end of it correctly. All right, it's
Fix it,
moved
do
and
it.
seconded.
Can I speak to that for a second?
Sure.
And I know that one of the work group recommendations talks about providing judges with tools so that they can address individuals with mental health challenges when they come. So we've talked about mental health court, and that's not what the judges wanted, but the work group conclusion. So maybe adding some language in there about that. And then-
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's fine. If we're gonna wait till next week, Carousel and I will get the last sentence finished, and we'll add from the, I remember that.
the work group recommendations.
Okay, so all in favor of putting this till next week, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, those opposed? Okay, that one goes till next week. Okay, the next three kind of go together.
You go ahead.
Okay. The next three, 02, 03, and 04, have to do with the two paralegal positions that we added to the district attorney's office last year. And we looked up, that was PP&J 4 revised. We all county board supervisors got a huge, here's the amendment, Supervisor Baird had it copied for us. We got a huge response from the district attorney yesterday. However, the district attorney still hasn't provided the data that we specifically asked for, including a report that would include the number of intakes that were completed in time for bail hearing, including receiving police reports and contact of all victims and witnesses, the number of individuals who were not charged with crimes and thus were not entered on CCAP, the placement of additional individuals into the Community Restorative Court Program due to faster understanding of their circumstances before the jail hearing, and decrease of overcharging individuals due to more accurate information at the time of bail hearing. So we have no information on any of those that I saw in any of the information that came from the district attorney.
We do have some of that information in the report that we received for that.
We do have the part about how many cases they wrote up.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah,
and there's 15 pages that I don't even know what they are
right,
in the back.
right, we're
But I don't
600
think we
plus
should say
cases.
none, we're missing most.
Well,
Go ahead, Chris.
so, the number of intakes that were completed in time for bail, I would actually almost say none. The number of intakes that were completed in time for bail hearing. So this proposal last year, the reason, no one's saying that this individual didn't do anything. The reason for this budget amendment last year was to support the district attorney in having resources to send people to community restorative court. And there are other things, but that's what it says in the budget. So it was, we have this community restorative court, it's successful, people should be referred there instead of going to the criminal justice system. And we added these positions for that purpose. And so that's why it wasn't just, we weren't just asking him, tell us the work that this person did. Because we have no doubt that this person will do work, right? And I don't think that the person sat around and did nothing and the district attorney didn't utilize that person. But we specifically, in last year's proposal, said the number of intakes completed in time for bail hearing, not the number of intakes completed. But we're trying to understand, part of his reasoning was he can't send people to restorative court. Part of his reasoning, I'm paraphrasing, part of his reasoning was he can't make accurate bail assessment decisions because he doesn't have all the materials. And there were concerns, he had denied them, there were concerns that people were not being granted bail or assessed a bail amount that was indicative of their charges, that he was overdoing it because he didn't want to underdo it. And he was acting as a district attorney. Anyhow, I'm not trying to attack or defend him, I'm trying to state what I would call the facts. So we wanted to resolve that, not tell him what to do because he's a separate elected official, but to say we are going to give you these tools. So you want him, you think if you could do this faster, you could make accurate bail? Great, show that to us. You want to do this faster so you can determine who goes to community court? Great, show that to us. So what he did was tell us this person worked hard, which is fabulous to know, but he didn't cite a single case that went to community restorative court because of this position. He didn't cite a single bail that was reduced because of this position. And no doubt that he, like every other county official and department in this government, needs more people, but we did not give him this person so that he could put people in jail faster. We gave him this person so he could put people not in jail faster. And all he's told us is, this person's worked really hard and we're putting more people in jail.
Good explanation.
Okay, all right, yes, thank you. So the question,
My usual succinct
the question is, do we want to deal with these 3 related amendments tonight? Or do we want to give the district attorney one more chance to comply with what we've asked for? We did ask for this information when we gave him an extension over the summer. So I'm not, yeah.
I would just
Supervisor-
say that, yeah, because we received information within the last day, but I haven't had time to look at it. It was just too short of a notice or, timing on that. If we have the time and we can give it one more shot and move it to next week, I'm fine with that. I don't want to make,
Okay.
a fast decision. Maybe there's something else yet to know.
We want this to be successful. We
Yeah.
want him to do these things.
Yep.
We want, right, number of intakes that were completed in time for bail hearing. We want the number of individuals who are not charged with crimes and thus were not entered on CCAP. We want the placement of additional individuals in the Community Restorative Justice Program due to faster intake. We want the decrease of overcharging individuals due to more accurate information at the time of bail hearing. The county board reintroduced it, we voted for this, and the county board voted for it, because we want this to happen.
Yep.
So if he can show us that this has happened, I want him to keep this funding. And if he's showing, and if this isn't what he's, so I'm 100% with you, right?
Okay.
If he wants to come back and give us information, fabulous. I hope this succeeds.
Okay.
I move the table till next week,
Okay.
or move to continue to next week.
Okay, that would
Or
be
next week.
2, 3, and 4. And just so everybody understands, Supervisor Baird and I worked on an alternative. If it wasn't going to work with the DA's office, we are proposing that one of them go to the clerk of courts to work on criminal justice reform with the new assessment tool
The new
that we
bail
have.
assessment,
The
right.
bail assessment tool, we're very excited about that. And so we have an amendment to do that. And then the other one would go over to Human Services / Corporation Counsel, kid-related legal issues, some of which may be reimbursable through federal funding, not 4D, 4E. So we have a plan if the DA does it. Michael?
Sure, I'll second.
Yeah.
So 4, I think, is what you're talking to now, corporate counsel and kid-related, as you just said.
Right.
But it doesn't say any of that. It says
Well-
it's the human services. So if we're delaying it, can you
Yes.
fill in a little more reason?
Yes,
And
yes.
I liked what you said, but it
Yeah.
doesn't say it.
And Supervisor Dye is a co-sponsor on this, so this is, right, because this is a PB&J and Finance Committee,
Okay.
so also look at Supervisor Dye to all of this.
Okay, so that would be the 3. Okay, so the motion is to forward till next week, table till next week, adding Supervisor Dye, and adding, Marcia, you can help us with this with Lynn Green, adding the justification on PB&J 4.
Got it.
So, all in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, no. Okay, those go to next week. Up to PPNJ 5, This is mine. I worked with the clerk of courts and Judge Kolos on this one. Essentially, the staff attorneys, the judges came to us and they asked the county executive for raises for the staff attorneys. That was not included in the county executive's budget. So I suggested that maybe the thing to do, since there are 7 staff attorneys and it didn't seem to be going anywhere, it was a fairly costly item, could they get by with 6 staff attorneys and use the money for the 7th so that they could give the remaining ones a raise? And they liked the idea, and so you can see the amount would change from $17.53 to $20.45. So would somebody like to move this one? Maureen, is there a second? Mike seconded it? Okay.
No, we didn't get it.
Oh, was it Dorothy?
Oh, I thought,
Was it Dorothy?
You gotta talk higher.
I'll have to raise my
Okay, it's
I'm
Dorothy.
sorry, Dorothy.
Okay, so discussion on this one. Everybody understand what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Looks like we're ready for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, that one passes. Okay, the next one is PPNJ 6. Supervisor Willis, that's yours. You want to tell us about that?
So we always have a problem with the overtime in the 911 center. I really appreciate the 100,000 that got put in to the account so that it looks like it's not quite so much overspent. However, I would really like to address that as well as the overtime itself. I believe that the overtime itself can be reduced by an additional person, which I've asked for years. The numbers down here do explain it. The current, we're over, our budget's $453,700. We're already $162,000 over that budget. We have 6.5 pay periods to go. So the same as every year, we do things and we don't make this better. 100,000 is going to make it a little better because it's not going to look like we're overspent quite so much, but we really need to do something to address the amount of overtime. The number of hours that I put down on there, we all get the report from John that shows how many hours we have, and if you look at the hours, I'm looking at the 2 lines, short staff and vacation only, which are predictable lines. They aren't dealing with the unpredictable things, but you can see that one person would be able to fill these, would reduce our hours of overtime. It's just wonderful. It's a scheduling nightmare for him, but I believe that with another person that he could make this overtime account actually go down. So I did put it in halfway through the year because I know that there's no money and I figured it'd look better if I did it.
Okay. So, would you like to move it?
I would move it.
Okay. Does it have a second?
Can we ask questions?
Well, technically, we should have a second to ask questions.
Can we ask that?
Yeah, go ahead and ask staff questions. What time do you need to leave?
About 7.
Okay, I think we'll be okay. Okay, are we ready? Okay. Well, I'll call the meeting to order, and the way we're going to do this, if anybody wants to testify, we're going to have you testify before we have the appropriate amendment. And so we'll go through them, starting with, first of all, we need to approve the minutes. Minutes of October 17th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded, take your choice.
I got it.
Okay, any corrections or additions to the minutes?
It looks perfect.
Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye, those opposed, no. Okay, the minutes are approved.
John's back there.
John,
John or
stand
someone?
up, we got a question for you.
John, or I also know someone from the county executive's office.
Josh is back there, yeah.
If either. I'm
Hiding
not
in the
trying to-
corner.
Not sure. Oh,
Don't matter, Josh.
not trying to put either one of you particularly. What's your opinion on this?
I've stated publicly many times that my measure is whether or not we're meeting our answer time standards or not, and we are. Now those answer time standards for 911 calls are to answer 95% of the calls in 15 seconds or less. With the staffing and the overtime that we have now, we make that.
I know it is a tricky question, which is why maybe I wasn't trying to put you as a department head on the hot seat as much as us that are willing to be in politics on the hot seat a little bit. Josh, does the county executive have a position on this as well? And maybe he doesn't. Thank you, John.
What was the question? Sorry.
Just that the county executive has a position on Supervisor Williams' proposal. I mean, I could also say, does the county executive think this is something that is needed in the budget?
So there's a couple things in the budget that, what I can speak to more so, because I haven't talked to him specifically about Supervisor Willis' amendment. But I can speak to the reason behind a couple of decision points that you saw in this budget that actually touch on this area. So one, you'll see there is a modification of a couple of part-time positions. We wanted to try for a period of this year to see if there'd be some interest in having part-timers fill in and pitch in. It turns out that we've tried a couple of different ways to reduce overtime, but that wasn't quite as effective as we had hoped. So we convert 2 of those positions back to being pre-hires, so it's a total of 6 pre-hires, which allows the 911 director to hire above his minimum to train more. There's a long training period, obviously. This is intended to help through the course of the year right-size the staffing so that people get through training in the times of the season when there is reduced call volume, wintertime, springtime. Training's happening, they're then on the floor by the time the peak kind of call season hits, which is summertime. So that's the pre-hires are thought to be a more effective means of getting at that few part-time positions. The other thing that you see is we look at overtime, it's down about 10% year-to-date compared to last year. And you see $100,000 put into the overtime line to recognize that the department's made progress with the way that they're running the operation. There's a sweet spot that we're heading toward here in terms of what is the right number. John continues to deploy strategies to reduce overtime, working with his management workforce. We think he's heading in the right direction given the decrease in the added money and the change of the pre-hire. So that I can speak to as to why you see what you see in this budget proposal.
Thank you.
Yep.
Since we discussed it pretty thoroughly, put me down as seconding
I'll,
it.
if you want, I'll second.
You want to second it?
Second for
Okay.
the purpose of discussion.
Yeah, okay, and then we're back to Mike.
So those are many of the things we heard from the executive last year. We heard how overtime was down and all of the nice things, and they're great, and I really appreciate that they're working on it. However, the numbers are in front of you. In 2016, after we heard they were down, we were 452,000. 2015, we were 365. So last year, we heard they were down, and they ended up over 90,000 up. The track record here is numbers that are in front of you. We need to do more. The executive's trying. He's not doing enough.
Thank you. Maureen?
Well, I don't know what the magic number is, but what I can say is, through all the years that we have debated this, is that you still have the unknowns. You don't know when the storms are gonna hit, you don't know when there's gonna be a traffic jam, and if you staff full-time and it's 10 bodies instead of 9 bodies, Murphy's Law is gonna jump in, and as soon as that shift is over, something's gonna happen, and you're still gonna have overtime, so you may wind up that you have more full-time people, and you actually have more overtime than you did the previous year. And it could be because of the weather, or something unforeseen with our wonderful climate change, whether you believe it's there or not, going on all around us all day long. So I guess, to me, I go, if things are working and they look like they're going in the right direction, I'm not one to monkey with the boat. I know we have a call center where I work at utilities, so a lot of times there are emergency calls and that sort of thing, and so I hear these discussions there as well. And same kind of thing. You're full staffed 1 minute, sure as dickens, nothing's going on. And somebody calls in sick, somebody has to go home for something, boom, somebody takes out a pole or something and you're just on a run because the calls are backed up. So, you know, you're calling people in. So if we've tweaked it and it seems to be working, I'm fine with leaving it alone. That's my position, I guess, where I'm at with it, so.
Okay, anything else, Dorothy?
I think a John question probably, are you feeling as though adding another full-time would be too much and would take away the flexibility of having more ability to call people for overtime? And do you have complaints about too much overtime that people get, or do they kind of like that bigger check?
To the first question, one more FTE does not unduly complicate the schedule. Second question regarding whether or not people are complaining about too much overtime. Some do, some don't. Some use that overtime because they have the time, they need the money, they want the money, and they volunteer for it. Others don't like it at all. So again, I think earlier someone referred to what's the right level, what's the happy medium. Not sure. Anecdotally talking to some of my folks, I think we may be close to it because I'm not hearing lots of complaints. I'm not hearing lots of hue and cry for more overtime either.
Further discussion, Mike?
The further touch you'd add on that is the sheet that we get every month with the overtime does show the last column of mandatory overtime. We, for a long time, have dealt with how many operators were leaving, and that often came up as a question of mandatory overtime. The hours they want, it shouldn't be under mandatory overtime. And you're right, there is absolutely an amount of overtime that should be there. That's why I listed short-staffed and vacation. That's the predictable. That's why those hours are on there, because one person isn't going to come close to even filling that. All the rest of the things are the things that float, and they'll still float. But we as a committee should be worried when we're regularly $500,000 over a budgeted line. It's not quite that bad, right? It's only $465,000 last year. And we're okay with that? Yeah, it's $100,000 better, but to me, I'm an oversight committee. We're regularly missing by this kind of number. We should be trying to address it, and you know I do.
Good. Anything else? Dorothy?
I guess my question is, do we need to bump up the overtime budget, or do we need to bump up staff budget, or neither of them?
I have many, many priorities in the budget that are much higher than this. And if we do this, the stuff in the budget that I really want to do is you know, the budget comes to the county board and we have very little wiggle room. And I'm aware of many of the various amendments, not only here, but at HHN and other places. The reason we're meeting next week is we're going to have more amendments regarding reform of the criminal justice system, and I care more about that than the overtime and the 911, so I'm going to vote no. Anything else?
Well, I echo that sentiment because there are so many demands in the budget competing, and I'm not hearing a big cry for help on this, so to speak. So I'm okay with where we're at with it. It seems like it's moving in the right direction.
On that point,
Okay.
two of you have stated that. Would you be more comfortable with it if it was funded coming from the overtime hours? I didn't want to do that because I think both of the accounts are better, but a full-time person, we get more hours in the seat than we do from overtime. So if your issue is completely you want to fund other things, I can change it for next week and bring it from the overtime account.
I like that better, but I worry about tying the hands of Director DeYoung.
Doesn't tie his hands. He's overspent the overtime budget every year and no one complains except me.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we vote on what you have here, and then if you want to try that for next week,
Do you
that
want
will
us
be a
to
new one.
postpone this and amend it, or you want to vote on this and introduce something new next week? It's a,
I'll amend it for next week. Let's table it, we've tabled everything else.
Okay, so we're gonna change your motion is to table it for next week. We're gonna just,
Yeah.
you're gonna
Yeah.
make another motion to table it, or?
I can.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor of moving that one to next week, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. That one goes next week. Okay. Now we are on to the capital budget, and very shortly, we're going to be ready for the public hearing. PP&J 1 is, this may be premature, but should we have option 3, phase 1 planning next year? We need an oversight, or we need a committee, and we have a typo in this one. No, actually we don't. That's the next one. This is Capital 1. This is our recommendation concerning in-person visitation that we made in July. So Supervisor Baird and I worked on this one. We basically took our July recommendation asking that the sheriff continue to review all aspects of option 3, phase 1, to ensure in-person visitation for all inmates is included in phase 1. So we're just making sure this doesn't get lost. So, anybody want to move this
I
one?
would be happy to move it.
Okay.
Second.
It's moved by Dorothy and seconded by Maureen. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. Okay, that one passes. Okay, it's the next one that has the typo. This is PP&J 2, capital, and this is the one talking about, it basically says the sheriff and the chair of PP&J, typo, public protection, will appoint a 5-person committee to assist in planning for the jail consolidation project. And there's a typo in there. It should be appoint a 5 to 7-person committee
Where?
to
5-person committee or 5 to 7 person?
5 to 7. See, I've got the old version here. I've got the right version right here in front of me.
Why don't you read it, Justin?
Neither increases nor decreases revenues or expenditures, but add the following language. The sheriff and the chair of the Public Protection and Judiciary Committee will appoint a 5 to 7-person committee to review, get the word "to" in there, planning for the jail consolidation project.
We have
The
2
word
assist in
assistant
planning.
Wants to review.
Yeah, you've got the old one.
Right.
Right.
To review planning.
To review planning for the jail consolidation project.
Okay, got it.
Okay, I think this part is different too. The committee will be briefed by the architecture and engineering consultants and provide input at up to 3 meetings at the schematic design stage and up to 2 meetings at the design development stage of the planning process. Is that different on yours?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
real different. Yeah, so, again, and I hate to do this to everyone, but I'd make a motion to move it to next time and get all of the language there
Clean up
so
the
that we have
language.
it in front of it.
Yep, second. Was that a move? I'll second.
Yeah,
Okay.
moved and seconded. All right, Marcia, I'm gonna, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, that goes. Give this to Marcia. This is the,
All right, you guys are done already.
The accurate one.
Oh, what's this for him?
okay. Okay, okay, we are ready for the reason the room is filled. I did want to take a second to say that there will be some additional budget amendments next week. And Mike, did you want to mention what yours might be?
Sure. I have two budget amendments. They obviously will not be popular at all. I don't believe that what we're doing with the jail is enough, and I don't believe the 6th and 7th floor should be left abandoned in bars. So my two amendments would A, remodel the 6th and 7th flooring to the new sheriff's, and B, finish option 3, phase 2.
Okay. So that will be an amendment, that will be on the agenda.
It's actually two amendments.
Two
They're
amendments.
Separate.
Two separate amendments, okay. So that will be on the PP&J agenda for next week. But for this week, we have Supervisor Wegleitner. Did you want to take a minute, Supervisor Wegleitner, and explain what it is, and then we'll move into the public hearing?
Sure.
Okay, it's your amendment.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but if you wanted to
Yes.
take a minute and explain what it is. Oh, is there more?
These are the registrations only.
Okay. Do I need to read them?
It's true, if Marcia's not here.
Okay, Marcia's not here. Well, we will get these in. Okay, all right,
All the names of anybody that registered will be entered in the minutes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody want to make a motion?
I'd make the motion that we deny this amendment.
Okay, you can deny it. Anybody want a second denial? The other way it is that if nobody moves and seconded, then it dies.
Well, if nobody moves and seconds it, it moves to finance with no recommendation versus moves to finance with a denial. Or I think it does it, if it, so.
Where is our attorney when we need her?
My understanding is if you vote for approval, it moves forward. If you vote for denial, it ends and has to be affirmatively brought to the next committee. Versus if we vote nothing, it automatically goes to the next committee.
But if it fails for lack of a motion, that's,
I vote,
I'm just saying.
this is what I think. I could be wrong, so I'll start talking since our attorney's not here. I'm trying to answer the question, but my understanding is a no vote stops it. And other things do not stop it.
But when you say stop it, she could still bring it back to the other committees anyway.
Well, of course,
So it's not really stopped.
Supervisor Weiler can do anything she wants.
Yeah.
If she has introduced this, we could add to her work and make her reintroduce it, or we could not add to her.
Or we
In
could
my
express our opinion of
Or
what
we
we
can
think of
express our
it,
opinion,
or
we
we
can
could
do
not.
whatever.
Okay, all right.
That's fine.
Well, we'll see. Supervisor Mike has suggested that we deny. Is there a second for denial? Okay, there isn't. So it dies for lack of a second. It is my understanding, just so you know, of the rules of the county board, is that it can be reintroduced at the finance committee. If it doesn't do well at the finance committee, Supervisor Wegleitner can introduce it on the floor of the county board. When we take up the issue, it will be seconded there, and there will be discussion on the county board floor. I'm pretty sure it'll be seconded there. So I think we are done unless anybody up here wants to make a statement. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. All right, it's moved by Mike, seconded by Maureen, that we adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, so we're adjourning at 7:10.